This is the real life. Something like that is what it comes to.
That's not early Genesis, you tit. Welcome to the QUACKCAST. This is QUACKCAST number 410. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is the marvelous Baines and the magnificent Pitface.
Hello. Spitface. Titface. Shitface.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a good segue into the topic of this conversation, because we're going to be talking about character names and how you came up with them. And, Pitt has such a panoply of names. A marvelous selection of things you can possibly use to create a comedy. It's fantastic. I like that. So if she was a character in your comic, you could, other characters could criticize her and, come up with ridiculous versions of her name. It's so fantastic. And I think I've done that with Pinky on a few different occasions. So yeah, it's coming very useful. I'm gonna just get rid of this damn light. It's in my face. All right. So we're gonna be reading out some contributions from people. But before we get into that, the featured comic for this week was Cafe on Creep Island, or Crepe Island. So take it away.
Is it CREPE?
It is. Take it away.
Crepe.
Kwai with Cafe on Crepe Island.
Hello, this is Kawaii Dagakse, and the feature I've selected for this week is Cafe on Crepe Island by Diona, and it is rated T for teen. Barry just moved into his Aunt Key's home, but with a price. He now has to work at a cafe on Crepe Island, and his coworker Candy is helping him with the rundown on regular customers and daily chores. The cafe is located directly across the street from In-N-Out Island Breakfast, where Barry quickly becomes acquainted with the sign spinner from the restaurant. After some confusing shenanigans, Barry returns to his cafe, and Candy takes him to her favorite place. This island is full of wonderful surprises and mysteries. The art is drawn digitally and in color. It uses a very soft and gentle pastel color scheme. Join Barry as he explores Crepe Island and read Cafe on Crepe Island by Diona, rated T.
And that was our feature, Cafe on Crepe Island. Alright, thank you very much for that, Kawaii Dagakse. Okay, next up, we have the featured music that Gumwallis has given us. And this week, Gumwallis has given us the theme to Let Us Be God. That's a rather interesting title for a comic.
Yeah, another one.
Let Us Be God. So this music is mellifluous mellotron tones flowing over your ears like the warm summer sun on a cool morning, slowly spreading up into a torrent of competing notes, washing you with their beauty, all in the style of early Genesis, for a clever musical pun. Let Us Be God. Take it away, Gumwallis. And that was our music. Gun Wallace, thank you for your mellifluous tones. All right. So, next up, we have the actual QUACKCAST. The actual Cannibal QUACKCAST.
The
Sierra
name game. Yeah.
Booth. The names. All right. So, have you guys seen the thread that people have actually contributed to? Even
Nope.
Tance did,
I
because
think
Tance isn't
so.
here. I'll copy you in the actual link to it, so you can go to it if you like.
Okay, I think I know where it is.
Yeah, Tance actually contributes. Tance can't be here because she's suffering the effects of tear gas. Because she huffs that on the weekend. And...
My lord.
Likes to live on the edge.
No, she was at a protest in Greece. She's a political person.
Yeah, she's tough.
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, it's a political protest about the name of Macedonia and the Greek province of Macedonia. Well, the former Republic of Macedonia. I don't know. It's about names, so it segues nicely into the topic of this QUACKCAST.
Wow.
Funnily enough. Oh, jeez. We won't get into the politics of that, because that's contentious. Because names are more than just like a identifying thing. They mean a whole lot. Right. So, my first post in this whole thing, I asked people about names of their characters. And I talked about the names I've got in my comics, so I'll read that out. I've sort of talked about this before, but, whatever, you probably don't remember. No one remembers what was in previous QUACKCASTs. I don't. So I said, okay, Pinky TA. I named her because I'm lazy. TA was originally a joke because one of my lecturers, painting lecturers, claimed that my work was all about tits and ass. But then it came to be initials, Tatiana Ananova, Pinky's name. It can also stand for many things, which is what I like. So totally awesome, total annihilation, tactical attack, territorial army, traitorous assassin, toil always, tear asunder, whatever you choose.
Turtle armadillo.
Turtle armadillo. Yeah. Turd ass. It can just be anything. So, Cece was another character, of course. That's my other big character. She was named after a song, Cece Rider by the Animals, which is spelt Seeesee, as in C, the rider. But that became her initials as well, so Cynthia Crow, and that could stand for other things. But yeah, Cynthia Crow, that's great. That sort of sounds like sort of a posh kind of name, Cynthia. And Crow, that's a bird that represents betrayal or death or things like that. So it's symbolic. I like that. All right, Ace Kincaid. He was named after the idea of an explorer. Well, the fellow was named G.E. Kincaid. He's not a real explorer. He's just it's hard to explain. There was a character in a news article that claimed to have found the giant bejeweled city in the Grand Canyon, or at least off the side of the Grand Canyon, off the Colorado River. So yeah, he had discovered this amazing city, and it was in this old article from the 1920s or something like that. I sort of read it in this tiny little paragraph in the Fortean Times, and I found it just too ridiculous. It was too funny, and I was with a friend at the time, and we were riffing on that name, sort of. G.E. Kincaid. Oh, wouldn't it be funny if there was an American braggart character who he was sort of more villainous, and he sort of claimed there was these amazing explorations he'd been on, and it sort of gave us the idea of like an Indiana Jones kind of character, but one that didn't actually go on the expeditions. He sort of just made it up, and we named him Ace because it sounds like one of those, like a short, punchy, kind of heroic American kind of name, Ace or Bud or something like that. So,
right.
and which is too hilarious, and so he's an anti-Indiana Jones kind of character. So yeah, we found it hilarious. But G.E. Kincaid is he never existed, apparently. This is just a hoax story, but a lot of people believe it's real. And I'll actually give you the link to it from skeptoid.com, and you can look it up because it's an interesting story. Because people really believe that this cave exists in the Colorado River, where you can find all magnificent jewels and ancient aliens made it and all kinds of crap like that. You know, the rubbish people believe. Yeah, so that's where Ace came from, the made-up G.E. Kincaid. I should have just called him G.E. Kincaid rather than Ace. give the character more life.
I like Ace. Ace works for the
I
reason
do
you
too.
Ace.
It's very, like... It sounds like what he's supposed to be, but it's also... It's so on the nose.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
It's sort of,
Okay,
you know,
real
it's like,
dickhead.
not
maybe,
real. Yeah.
Maybe he is called G.E. Kincaid and Ace is just a nom de plume.
Yeah.
It's
true.
that kind of name, because it would be very rare to have someone having that as their first name. Ace. Because
True.
you'd put way too much baggage on your child to call them Ace.
Right.
This is little Ace here. He's hopeless
Yeah.
at everything, but we're hoping he'll live up to his name eventually and become a fighter pilot because, you know, that's what the name suggests. It's like calling a child Superman or something.
Right. Which Nicolas Cage did, didn't he? Not to get off subject. Yeah. Well, I think he
Unit.
called him Kal-El.
Oh, Kal-El. Oh, you're right. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Superman's name.
But, yeah. Well, that sort of points to the dad being a wanker, which he is. He's made
Right.
a living out of that, you know? He's lovable because he's a wanker. So he made it work for
And the
him.
kid could go by Cal.
Cal, yeah.
Yeah.
Cal. Oh,
I haven't
jeez.
heard tell of that, what happened to that kid, but yeah.
I would name my child Kakarot. Just...
Hell yeah, you would.
just to have the few people who would get that, and yeah, we can form a.
There'd be more than a few people that get that. You shady asshole who's reflecting massive amounts of sun on the
I'm Super Saiyan.
bed.
Come on,
Yeah, yeah.
Kakarot. Okay.
Kakarot.
It's better than vegetable. That's a terrible name. Who would?
Well,
do
see,
that?
but here's another. Shut up a minute. So, like, but I mean, that's another thing on naming, right? Is because Akira Toriyama, it's like, well, so we're talking about Dragon Ball and the whole Dragon Ball series. Akira Toriyama, who created the Dragon Ball series, he likes to name his characters in really weird names like that. Like all the Saiyans have derivatives of vegetable names. So Kakarot is carrot, Vegeta is of course vegetable. He's, he's the fourth prince in line with the Vegeta name. And they come from planet Vegeta. So they were really creative there. And then you have just all sorts, Napa, which is a kind of lettuce, kale, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, Raditz, which is radish. But and then other characters like
Frieza,
I don't know.
That's where you put
Yeah,
the vegetables.
it's where you put your and his family too. There's Frieza, there's Cooler, there's Frost. Yeah. It's just really weird. But it's fun and quirky, and it reflects very much Akira Toriyama's sense of humor that you see all through the works that he does, from Dr. Slump through Dragon Ball, through all sorts of things. So it's that. So naming in that sense has really become almost like a call sign for this particular creator, something iconic to this creator and how he creates.
Exactly. It's a bit of fun as well as being he's showing his genius and his stylistic thing. So our first contribution here is from Hapopo, which is quite a name in itself. Hapopo. Yeah, lovely. Do you want to?
Yeah, I don't know Hapapo, but I've seen Hapapo around. I don't know if it's a guy or gal, but I've seen Hapapo around the site lately, so that's cool to see.
If you look at our ad for our ad, no one's bloody paying for advertising at the moment, but one of the images in that is from Hapapo's comic.
Oh, okay.
I don't see anything there from my comic. Why didn't you include anything from my comic, Oz?
Because it's
am I not good enough? And there's
Yeah.
nothing in there from Baines's comic either. Did you not include anything from his? Why?
Oh, that's right.
That's why.
Shut up! Shut up!
Oh, jeez. No, that was from featured comics that were featured from when I originally did this bit of artwork. So I got all this artwork together from all these featured comics, but your comics were all featured afterwards, I think. So.
Yeah. Sure. Well, you're definitely not getting any funding from me now. Once I have money one day.
Jeez.
Once you start actually paying me to come on the QUACKCAST, and I can pay you. It could be like a cycle, and I could just give you back your own money.
Oh my god, that's how economies work. That's amazing.
We'll be a banana republic.
Slightly less successful. So Hapopo, Baines, have you got a voice for this one, or are you just going to?
Sure. Let me. I don't have a voice, but let me just say, Hapapo does a comic called Punk Panic.
That's it. Punk Panic.
Various other comics with punk in the title. I really like the artwork. It's really cool. Really sort of appealing characters. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I knew that. And Hapapo says, Bast is probably the most obvious. I'll just use my own voice. Bast is probably the most obvious, but the other characters do have a bit of a story behind their names. Tenkyo just comes from a gibberish word I kept impulsively repeating in my head. I do that kind of thing too. But once I named a character after it, it kind of stopped. If I remember right, it was just a garbled version of thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Baby. Yeah. Thank you. Baby. Big black. Actually, no, that's a lie. Hapapo says. Originally, the character was an anthropomorphic deer, so the name was more of a quasi doe. Didi was just a derivative of the name. Tello was just a name I made up to sound robot-y, so there's nothing particularly special about it, but more of a reason for being what it was. I reverse engineered it into her model number, TEL 01.1. Though I still have yet to further reverse engineer it into a decent enough name. Right now I'm just using the excuse that it's in Morosi language, so it can be whatever nonsense I want it to be. Oh. But I was able to use that to get Telleri's name, model Tel 02.1. So there you have it, the origins of Thank You, Big Black Dodongos, and Turnip Eating Lycanthrope 01.1.
Oh my god, those names.
I like it.
That's beautiful. Alright, so next up we have Jamin Rising. Such an amazing, evocative name.
Yes. Even our users have interesting names. We could talk about that sometime.
Yeah, we'll do our own interpretations of it, so...
Yeah.
It's highly symbolic and evocative, and, it indicates he had a lot of struggle. No, so Jamin Rising. How about you do this one, Pip?
All right. So he says, Jim Yonen is based on my 7th grade friend Jimmy and Laurie Yonen of Finnish rock band the Rasmus. Sean Julings is a hybrid first and last name of my best friends throughout childhood. Helgi Periwinkle, I think, is Heidi misspelt, and Periwinkle because it has that last namey taste like Kirkpatrick or O'Neill. So that was another kind of interesting way of making very natural sounding names out of kind of creating bits and pieces out of sounds and other people's names. So that's interesting.
Reminds me really strongly of Pembroke Lane, which that's Emma Claire. She's a fantastic person. She does the Friday news posts, and she's got great comics as well. Just fantastic. She has the character Pembroke Lane in our Dungeons & Dragons game that we play on every second Saturday. And it's so cool. We love Pembroke Lane. But
we do.
It sounds like that kind of periwinkle sort of thing. It's a natural sounding name. And her character is named after... I can't remember why... Oh yeah, I remember. So it's called Pembroke Lane because she used to be a corgi and she was magically transformed into a human girl. But she didn't really know... what she was called, but I think that one of the things she saw was the street where she lived, and she thought, oh, that must be my name, or something like that. So I think that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, because I liked that kind of backstory of how she ended up calling herself that. It also made me smile because the last place that I lived in London, well, it was near London before I moved back, it had a Pembroke Lane.
Oh, wow.
It was nearby, and I smiled every time I saw it. Like, yeah! I see you, sister!
Oh, jeez, that's so lovely. It exists in reality. Pembroke Lane. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but it has that kind of charming sound, doesn't it? Pembroke Lane or periwinkle. Something about those words. Maybe it's cultural definition, like other people maybe don't find it so charming or soothing, but it's a word that I think a lot of English speaking people would find to be very endearing in a weird way.
It's evocative. It brings up the idea of like a little green lane with cobblestones or something like that, and vines on the walls.
It has a whole feel to it. Yeah,
it's charming. So
very charming.
Next up, we have Bravo 1102, which is again an interesting name. So this is a call sign, I think, of because he used to be a driver of tanks, and I think for Bravo Company 1102 or something like that, or maybe his own tank was 1102, something like. So yeah, that's a really interesting name. It means a lot to him, and yeah, it was functional once upon a time. So Bravo. Oh, do you want to do Bravo, Bones?
Sure. Yeah. It's been a long time. Bravo 1102. I collect names. Habit I got into for my writing. You know, I have lists and glance through them, roll names over in my head, and say them aloud to see if they're right, and use them, don't you know? A lot of times I'll realize, long after where precisely I came up with them. I do a lot of free association, so things can and do just pop into my head that are borrowed, or inspired, or stolen, or taken, or pilfered. I added all that. Saoirse, for example, came from Saoirse in the movie Willow, but it became Saoirse because she is searching. Saoirse, so you pronounce it Saoirse. Well, interesting. Cool. Yeah, it's an unusual name. Yeah. Belinda Brandon is from The Daughter in Muppet Christmas Carol, and it struck me as funny that her father had 3 daughters and decided to use alliteration, a little key to his character, Barbara, Belinda, and Brenda Brandon. It is a family legend that when considering names, he threatened to name a possible son Bradley. It gave a whole family dynamic just with the names. Goob was a nonsense word I wanted to use in a story, so brainstormed an acronym, Giant Organic Optical Brain, and it fit with the eye anatomy model kit I had gotten in a lot with a human body model I bought for some gory scenes I wanted to do. And Robofemoid? It's my very own word. Took a week of brainstorming.
And only Baines can pronounce it.
I didn't write that time. For old school listeners who remember that.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, and then we have Kawaii, who suggested names for me. She says Oz, T.A., Tank Assassin. Genius. She's genius. Tank Arsenal. Oh, my God. Or Tanserine. So that was Kawaii. She nailed it, like, boom, boom, boom. Bullseye every time. Natural 60. That's just genius.
And an interesting little aside, too. We all always call her Tanserine, because that's how we're used to pronouncing the T and the Z. But in Greek, it would be pronounced tangerine. So,
mind blown.
Until she joined us, she had been Tangerine. But we have kind of hive-minded her name to a new name, Tanserine, which now doesn't make any sense.
It becomes totally unique.
Now she will always be Tance.
Tance.
Tance pants.
Tances in the dark.
Tances in the dark. Oh, jeez. Yes. And speaking of Tancer pants, she is the next commenter. So should I read this one?
Go for it.
Sure.
Okay, so Tance Pants says, mind blown. So, yes, she's taking the words right out of our mouth. Tance says, Photis perforis. Photis equals light, photo, synthesis, all that kind of thing. And porphyrus equals crimson colored, but also in Greek, porphyria, royal dress. Wow. I did not know that. Basil Locrides. Basil equals knight, or kingly, sorry, not knightly. Also, scented plant. Oh, yeah, that you put on your food. Also, see historical Greek Byzantine folk tales. This name, Locrides, equals descent of Lokros, being a name associated with the Homeric hero Ajax. Or I always pronounce that Ajax, but apparently this is Ajax.
There's two different spellings. I think there's the Roman one, and then there's the ancient Greek one, the original one, which is Aes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. So Ace, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's lovely. So, yeah, then there's Arthur Wolf. Oh, I love that German name. Wolf. Arthur
Wolf
equals warrior, bear. Also, see the King Arthur myth, and wolf, which is, wolf. And also one who shreds.
I was just kidding. Awesome.
Oh, God.
Ingui.
Shred.
Ingve Malmsteen.
Ingve Malmsteen.
So then we have
That's
Martha
a great name.
Peony.
Yeah.
Martha, the lady master, also biblical, and Peony, war cry or war song. Oh, geez, so she's got a whole heavy metal band here.
Yeah.
War song.
Peony reminds me of flower, though. I didn't realize it was also meant war cry.
Oh, how cool. She could go on, but she'll bore the hell out of us. No, you won't, Tom.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
That's so interesting. I love it. I love it. So, next up we have used books. So, Pitt, do you want to give us some used books?
I'll give you some used books, all right. She says, I was originally imagining an anime and making storyboards, so my original used books characters have Japanese names. And yes, I picked them based on the meaning of Japanese characters. Yuki means snow/luck. Keita means dragon. Siko means wisdom. Fudo means fire. Radon means lightning. And Toyo means plentiful. Then it became its own thing. So I knocked off the anime stuff. Wish I could say they were all deeply meaningful, but it was mostly random choices and that sounded good. Alex always makes me think of childhood characters. I named innocent/young characters Alex for decades. It's one of my go-tos. Mike was the most generic name I can think of. His last name, Thompson, equally generic, and I made him a junior. Tristan was taken randomly from the work roster in the biology grad school. Not grade, grad. And Verona was taken from Sims 2. Meredith was picked from 5 finalist aristocrat/evilish names. Her last name is the last name of a close friend. Brad is a generic guy name, and also my uncle's name. Lane, generic last name, picked randomly from the phone book. That's kind of a neat idea, to pick randomly from the phone book. I like that. Violet was picked because I wanted the Verona girls to have flower names. Lily was the silliest, girliest name I could give Kada. Dozer, I don't know. I wanted him to be a hacker alias. I just cannot recall. His last name, Gates, just sounds cool. I later had a supervisor named Grant Gates, who arguably has one of the coolest names on Earth. Ashley is a code name / undercover name, going to be Phoenix, but it was too on the nose, so I extrapolated. Phoenix becomes Ashes, becomes Ashley. Sean, Sean, and another of my go-to names, is another one of my go-to names, like Alex. Tara Price is one of my friends' first names with a different one's last name. Kelly's came from a video game, one of the old Final Fantasies. I ended up giving her the last name Goodwin, somewhat randomly remembered from a kid I went to school with. Sounded good with the first name. Valentine had the right evil ring to it. His real name, Courtney, is the name of a kid I went to school with. Real Courtney wasn't evil, but was a self-proclaimed redneck. Unfortunately, I later realized he has my initials, so it's a bit awkward when he carves them into someone. Conrad was the last name of some kids I grew up with. I later found out it was also a first name and has a cool edge to this sound too, in my opinion. Dirk was taken from a book series my mom used to be addicted to. We had to listen to the audiobooks on long road trips. I hated that character. He was the worst Mary Sue, so it seemed fitting for a pompous, narcissistic villain. I have a lot of characters. I love naming them. Don't look for meaning, though. That sounds right, is as deep as it gets. So I like that, though. I like hearing all these different ways that people name their characters. Cool little ways of rigging things up. And sometimes they even have connections. A lot of times they'll have connections to other people that you knew, certain names, even, the more regular names, especially like Dick or like Charles or something, will remind you of people that you knew or people or like celebrities or something, and that will inform your decision on how you use that name.
Oh, yeah. Like you say, if they're based on celebrities, it could be a parody character, or maybe you just base it on the character traits of this particular person or film character as well. So you can all those things. Yeah, that is so interesting. And like you say, Year's book says, they don't have to have meanings. It just can sound cool.
Yeah.
And that's as far as you need to go. But it's fun when they do have meanings, because then you can talk about it. Like Dance does. Well, next up we have the Master of Fallopians, the Crusader. Fallopian Crusader.
Master of the house.
And No one knows the rest of the lyrics to that song.
No. That's right.
So, Fallopian, should I? No, it's Baines. You're the Fallopian.
In Minefield, Dara is short for Dorothy. That nickname was born... Oh, wait, let me adjust. In Minefield, Dara is short for Dorothy. The nickname was born of her mispronunciation of her own name when she was a toddler. The half-cat folks of Minefield are all named after anatomical terms. That is why Kit's formal name is Amygdala, and the High Priestess's name is Trashanter. I don't know how to say it. Those people usually call each other by nicknames because their formal names are often very convoluted. In Tusk, Chthonius is a corruption of chthonic, which means subterranean. It is a term that historians use to describe dark or evil religious cults in the ancient world. The characters in Girl Squad X are all named after cars. Well, diesel is a fuel, but it's still car-related.
Whoa, interesting, because I always thought chthonic came from Cthulhu. And maybe that's why Cthulhu is called Cthulhu.
Could be.
That's interesting. Layers and levels.
Subterranean, yeah.
That's a theme of this QUACKCAST. Our minds are just being blasted. Well, of course, Fallopian Crusader has, yes, Mindfold and all sorts of amazing comics with just glorious artwork and mind-blowing story twists and things like this. So just even Girl Squad, which is his earliest comic, and he shows his embarrassing early work, so just blows everything I've ever done out of the water. So he's an amazing dude. Fallopian Crusader.
Yes, incredible stuff.
So next up we have the Scarf of Iron, another interesting name. He has given us, well, at the moment, his main comic is the something about gentlemen. Oh god, I'm gonna have to look it up because I always
Awfully Decent Fellows.
That's it. I'm always thinking of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because he is a gentleman, an English gent, so it's an actual connection. Well, so he says, there's an art to naming a character. Often it won't happen until the aspects of the character are well established, but the names Reginald Parr and Windsock occurred to me halfway up a loft ladder. Meanwhile, it was the sudden change in altitude. I don't know. I thought Parr might be a golfer, but the name became more about keeping on track, having once been Britain's most celebrated equilibrist. Equilibrist. Windsock seemed to immediately conjure up a whimsical old duffer, but one who was reliable and essential to have around, even a lifesaver. He later acquired the forename Quanton, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one, which I took from a local school because it had the word quaint in it. Pashmina Greenmeyer had a contrasting name. Pashmina is both an Indian name and sounds like pashmina, a wool of outstanding credentials. It also hints at her warm, comforting personality. Greenmeyer was chosen as her late husband Victor's surname because it sounds like the Green Mire, hinting that his was an entirely different personality. Barbara Quince was so named because she is a marmalade millionairess, and quince jam was the original marmalade, or marmalade as some people say. The name Barbara seemed to fit and make her somehow more friendly and approachable. Don Briars was named after my father-in-law, actually Ron, and with the addition of Briars because he's usually seen with a pipe. Ironically, he doesn't smoke a briar pipe, but Don Mearsham didn't sound quite right for the character. Mearsham, that sounds fantastic. I love that. Mearsham. Kayoko Briars, Don's daughter, got her name from the song Don't Worry, Kayoko by the Plastic Yoko Ono Band. Her mother is Japanese, and the song suggested surpassing qualities, which she has no shortage of. Dr. Black is the name of the victim in the UK version of Cluedo, which forms the basis of Awfully Decent Gentlemen. And of course, our Dr. Black is not the victim, but a villain so despicable he'd be twirling his moustache if he could grow half decent one. He must view Reginald Parr with furious moustache envy. Natalia Katlova is both Russian-sounding and implies a love of cats. She can be found in the pub. In the pub scene, page 22 of Awfully Decent Fellows. The regulars know her simply as Leopard Lady. Leopard Lady. Sexy. Oh, lovely. So he has so much just stories and reasons for his names. I love it. That was
they're neat names too. Yeah.
That makes it so much easier to pick a name for your character when it has those kind of associations and meaning, because the character basically names themselves. They have to be called that, which makes it that's a good tip for naming your characters. If the names are evocative and mean something about their personality or are related to them in some way, then it's so much easier to do. I'm not saying you should use those naming techniques, but it's easier to do it that way. So it informs itself, because names can be damn hard to come up with. It can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever found it really hard to name your characters?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
The struggle is real.
I'm working on this series now that I'm having trouble with names. Of some of the characters, it's come easily, but since some characters, I'm like writing little outlines, and I just keep saying the hero, the sidekick, or the rival. And then I'll name the sidekick, and like everyone has a name except the main character at one point, and then I'm switching names again. Yeah, it's a.
It reminds me of
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, it reminds me of one of the most famous cyberpunk stories, Snow Crash. And the character in that is literally called Hero Protagonist. It's just beautiful. So, Pete, sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
Something super important.
So, I'll tell you if I remember. Mind blown. Oh, what I was going to say was, I think a lot of times, too, like, coming up with names, the difficulty could be in trying too hard. Like, you want to find that perfect name, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. You just have to experiment, maybe, in order to find it. Just still trying, but if you're, like, slamming your head against a desk, like, like, lightning strike me, come on! Like, that's maybe just a little too difficult than it needs to be. Names are important, but at the same time...
They're not.
You don't... Yeah, that's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go for it. And placeholder names like Baines is talking about, and I mentioned with Snow Crash, hero protagonist. That was a placeholder name for that character in that story, and he made it work. He stuck. It just stuck because protagonist can sound like a last name, and hero he turned it into the Japanese spelling, Hiro, Aiero. So it could fit, and so the character was sort of half Japanese, and yeah. Placeholder, you could just give your characters rough placeholders and it fits. I mean, even Pinky TA was really more of a placeholder name than an actual real name for Pinky. Because, she's got pink hair, Pinky. Not a really good name. Seriously.
Instead of just saying MC or whatever, you just, as main character, as your placeholder, just say Pinky.
Yeah.
Then she just kind of became...
Purpley.
Yeah.
Blondie.
Well, it's kind of like that too with I haven't made him an official character yet in anything but our Dungeons and Dragons comic, but I've had this character named Helmut Broadsword that I use in D&D, but he started off am I echoing a lot?
You are.
Anyway. Well, I've got headphones in, so I don't know. Okay. I keep on trying to sit back, but anyway, so basically with him, he started off as a video game character, but the more that I've used him, the more I've wanted to make him into an actual character and put him in something. So I came up with the story that I want to do. Unfortunately, his full name wouldn't make sense in that setting. His full name is Helmut Broadsword, and I picked Broadsword because he's kind of this innocent character, but it kind of alludes that he might have a massive schlong, which is really stupid. But that's me being a child while I create a D&D character. But I fell in love with that name, with that stupid, silly name, and so now it's become kind of a roadblock because I feel almost like, to make that name into something else that will make more sense, I almost feel like I have to change the total character, in my head, and I don't want to do that. So I've been really stuck, and so now he's just been kind of confined to the realm of the things that I create that will never see the light of day until further notice. So
slash fiction, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's interesting, because it would change his personality. He wouldn't be Helmut Broadsword anymore. He'd be, it just wouldn't fit. Helmut Rapier is just not the same rapier. It just doesn't work. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's interesting. So that can become a roadblock. Wow, I don't think I've ever come across that. Having to change the character's name because they were preventing things from working out. Weird.
Yeah.
But it can happen, guys, so be careful. Or one of the things you can do is say, oh, this is just their nickname, or this is what they like to be known as, but it's not the real, you can sometimes get around it by doing something like that.
Yeah.
This is what he identifies as. I don't know.
Or maybe, I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to go on about it. But
so we should wrap up pretty soon because our lovely face has to go and pick up
drugs.
Yeah, exactly. The shipment is coming in from Miami. She has to go. I'll drive a long way to get there. So.
No.
Something far more precious.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for being part of the name cast.
Yes,
cool. And
thank you.
Thank you, you marvelous people, for contributing to my thread. Iron Scarf, Fallopian Crusader, Used Books, Tangerine, Kwaidagakse, Jamin Rising, Bravo 1102, and Hapapo. Lovely. All right.
Hooray!
QUACKCAST number 410. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye now.